Greetings. Today we are going to be making some brownies. This is a very easy recipe to make. I had some leftover pudding powder. We no longer buy milk, so I didn't really have a way to make it, and for stoichiometry purposes I made some brownies. To begin with, I've got half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, around half a cup of butter. I've got my pudding powder here. This is chocolate. Half a cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 3 eggs. We're going to begin our process with a large mixing vessel, and we're going to add in our ingredients. I originally intended to do all the dry ingredients together and mix them, then add the butter and the eggs, but I messed up and put the butter in second, so I was kind of committed. So I try to mix this, and it doesn't really work, so then I decide to add in the eggs because the butter is kind of hard. If your butter is too hard, you might want to heat it up first, and then it will mix a lot easier. It's a really sticky dough, if you can classify it as a dough. Batter? I don't know what the correct vernacular is, but we just kind of mix this all together. Now the whole recipe itself, if I wasn't filming this, I'm sure I could bang this out in 5 minutes, which is pretty quick, and for a good sized dessert, and especially if you don't want anything for like a large group of people. If you're just having the family or whatever, that a smaller batch of dessert is probably the way to go. This isn't a dozen cookies, but it's enough brownie to have with appropriate dinner, and they taste really good. I'm really a big fan of that. I really like these bowl scrapers. Didn't work very well in this recipe, but I've been making a lot of bread with them, and I've kind of got it down that I can make a loaf of bread without having to touch it, which is kind of impressive. But this made a colossal mess here, but that's no big deal. And once it's all combined, after my mixing for 2 minutes and 43 seconds, I'm going to butter up my bread loaf pan. This is a stone pan, that's why it's as ugly as thin. And then I'm simply going to transfer the batter into it. I've made this without buttering the pan, it comes out, but I haven't tried it in a steel, and I don't think that would work as well. I'm going to throw this in the oven at 350 degrees. My oven's a little bit on the cool side, so it took about 45 minutes till it was knife point cooked, where you dip the knife in and it comes out clean, but your mileage may vary. So afterwards we simply cut it up, and then we can enjoy the consumption process. Now you can also have this with ice cream for the maximum enjoyment, and you can throw nuts in if you're into that stuff, but I don't really cook with nuts, and that's kind of I don't think you should do that these days, especially if you're cooking for people you don't know that may or may not have an allergy. So till next time, stay awesome.